Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
You're one breakthrough away from your next six-figure year. Maybe it's a better offer, a sharper sales process, or finally cracking client acquisition. Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets, where every single week we hand you the strategies, frameworks, and real-world plays that are working right now for coaches just like you. I'm, of course, your host, the Road Dog. You know, Karl always says the riches are in the niches. I heard that. I really got excited and spent 6 months niching down so hard, I ended up with one client and a restraining order. Maybe he can explain where I went wrong. Shoots, welcome to the show.
Well done, Shoots. Well done. There you go. You told me to let it doozy. Well done. There you go. How's the client going? How's the restraining order working out?
It's it's still at about 150 yards, so it's challenging in term. I'm learning to project my coaching voice. How's that sound?
Well done. Well done, Shoots. Cool. What's happening, buddy? Ready to rock?
Yeah, I'm ready to rock. It's funny because I actually have a question here because obviously Elon, your boy Elon, is all over the news, and I want to get your opinion on SpaceX. But before I go there, I sort of briefly mention it pre-show that I heard on the All In podcast. They're asking about the Starlink phone, and he says it's 2 years away because the current technology by the providers, the cell phone companies, cannot handle it. Then all I'm thinking is, ouch! Like the AT&Ts and T-Mobile of the world. You're on the clock, as they say, because I think you guys are going to be toasty toast in no time.
Yeah. So is there a question? So what, you want my opinion on SpaceX?
Again, I just think this dude's changing the world. But what are your thoughts? Like, let's focus on SpaceX today. Like, what are your thoughts on SpaceX?
Look, he's a brilliant guy, and it'll do brilliant things. There's no question. Look, valuation by my numbers says it needs to grow 600x over the next, let's say, decade. Tesla, as an example, like Tesla trades at 300 times earnings. I think that means they have to grow by like 50x. Like Tesla's worth more than all the other car companies combined, right? I'll let you decide if that makes sense, which maybe it does and maybe it doesn't, right? Like GM as an example, it trades at like 20 times earnings, right? Tesla's like 300 times. I don't know. They printed trillions and trillions of dollars, so the system is a little broken. But what's really hard not to see is something that rhymes with an AI bubble going on here, right? Which, the old metaphor, like high tide lifts all boats, and the opposite happens. What does Warren Buffett say? The quality of what is it like when the tide goes out, you can see who's not wearing underpants, right? Anyway, so I don't know. The order patterns don't really line up anymore. Look, the alien just trying to get home. Average people don't like elite people. So what happens? Elon Musk gets all kinds of hate. Whether you agree or you don't agree, that's okay. But at the end of it, what you just said, you know what I mean? Like he brings out a cell phone. My gosh, you could only imagine it would be amazing. It doesn't matter where you are, right? You can be in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. It's using satellite. But the bottom line is don't look at the hype and don't, go look on Twitter or X. Watch the trends, watch the hard numbers. Charlie Munger says, never underestimate a man who overestimates himself. And I would say that is Elon Musk 101. So I don't know, Shoots. I think it's going to do amazing things.
So hang on, if I'm hearing you correctly here, Shoots, if I'm reading the tea leaves that you are leaving out, are you suggesting that there's a bubble to be had here? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe no comment. Shoot. I just refer to the data and the numbers, right? The S&P just goes up and up. So who knows? People smarter than I should be studied and listened to. Like listen, but don't listen. That's not the guy on Facebook by any stretch of the imagination. You got to listen to well-respected economists. But by the way, don't just take their opinion as gospel, right? They've been horrifically wrong many a times, and the real ones will admit as much. But look, there's an AI bubble there. Question is what'll happen, when it'll happen, and by how much. No one knows. And the louder they are, and the more sure of themselves they are, likely the less you should listen to them. Like what is BlackRock doing? Ask yourself that question. What's somebody that the guy's taken over. Warren Buffett's retired from Berkshire Hathaway. What do you think the guy that's now running it wants to do? You know what I mean? He wants to be the next Tim Cook, where he crushes what Steve Jobs did. This guy's going to want to crush what Charlie Munger's done, right? So what are they investing in? Like, these are the types of questions I'd want to answer when assessing, AI bubble, the like, and time to invest. And again, not financial advice, just do your own homework. But yeah, I don't know, Ed. If there's not an AI bubble, I don't know what the heck there is. But hey,
Okay, well,
that's my answer.
let's get back into our lane here, and get away from giving financial advice. I got a question here from a coach. He is looking to create a higher level purpose with his software business client. Like, that's a little vague in the description, but you're like a carpenter. You always have a frame for something. Does that make sense? You're good at framing. What's that?
I do. Well, let's see, buddy. Let's find out.
Do you have a process for that? Like, again, let me just back it up. So,
Yeah, purpose.
looking to create a higher level purpose, like what you get.
Okay. What I would do is I would look at what Microsoft, Amazon, and Apple did, right? So, okay, number one problem to solve. All impressive businesses that you follow, that you buy from, that, you know what I mean? Like we were just mentioning a minute ago, SpaceX, et cetera. Look, they're solving a problem, right? All impressive businesses start with solving a problem. And then they go vision, mission, principles. And if you were to ask me for an example, I just go like Microsoft. Problem was computers were huge and expensive and really only for big companies when they got rocking. What was the vision? It was a computer in every home and on every desk. And by the way, keep in mind when they said that sounds so obvious now, but when they said it, it literally sounded crazy and totally unrealistic, right? These things were like the size of not a room, but a house, right? So then the mission, put an affordable PC with Microsoft software in every business and household. And then the principles that they followed, like long-term thinking, respect for individual freedom, and empowering people through technology, right? And then you go Amazon, again, another company that I think did some impressive stuff. Problem, physical stores had like really small selection, high prices, and it was wildly inconvenient to jump in the car, fight traffic, find parking, pay for parking, walk around the store a couple times and try find somebody making $10 an hour to help you, right? So the vision was Erst most what does he say, customer-centric company, I think it was, like the everything store. That was really the vision. There's a book written about Jeff Bezos. What's it called? The Everything Store, right? Mission, offer limits. What did they have? Limitless selection. They wanted to have everything. They wanted low prices and they wanted fast delivery, right? So that was the three problems that they solved. Vast selection, low prices, fast delivery. That was the mission. And then if you go to their principles, it was like customer obsession. It's what he always talked about in his letters to shareholders. Certainly long-term thinking. I would say invent and simplify, but always high standards, always upheld. And then you go to Apple. The problem, think of when they got going, right? Computers were wild, like they were ugly, complicated, and felt like machines, right? Not tools for humans. So what was the vision? Beautifully designed technology that feels like an extension of you. What was the mission? Make the best products on earth that change how people create, how they work, and how they live. And then the principles that they live by: design excellence, certainly one; simplicity 101. If you ever read about Steve Jobs, always talking about simplicity, think different, and of course, challenge the status quo, which is really what Think Different is about. If you go to focus.com, by the way, the problem 90% of businesses fail and less than 5% have a business coach or consultant. What's the vision? To provide a dummy-proof operating system for business coaches, consultants that can be installed in any business and leads to immediate increased profits. What's the mission? Install the operating system with local businesses profitably through business coaches and consultants. And what's the principles? Always long-term thinking, always long-term focus, constant innovation, community. Loneliness is an epidemic. It's only become increasingly a bigger part of what we're doing with stuff like happy hours and get-togethers in multiple cities, etc. And building something that provides positive and profitable change. So my answer, so Sheets, that's a bit of a problem. So you underline the overarching problem that they're looking to solve. All good businesses start there. And then they go vision, mission, and principles. And I would just say we're creating this for your ideal clients. And I think you'll be, and yes, I guess I'm using some big examples, but the landscaper, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker can absolutely, they have never gone through this process. I can pretty much guarantee you. And you might be surprised and the results that you come up with, but more to the point, how much more motivated of a business owner you have when the principles and the mission and the vision all work towards solving a single isolated big problem. Bigger the problem, the bigger the business. So that's my answer, Shoots.
And on next week's episode, folks, Carl's going to break this down bit by bit for candlestick makers. So stay tuned for the next episode. The most underrated and neglected industry in North America.
Niche.
There you go. Anywho, you had mentioned ideal client. I love how we just all throw out ideal. You need your ideal client, right? Like kind of the old faithful there. But man, like what is an ideal client for a business coach?
Good question.
That's why.
Look, 96% don't make it to $1 million, right? So that's super important. So like I'll talk to a coach and they're talking about going after $10 million companies. And then they're, mentioning scale after that, right? Well, you're going to 0.0001% of the population. I got bad news for you. Like you're not scaling. It's wholly unrealistic, right? Like if I'm a venture capitalist and you come to me and you're looking to get $10 million, the first question, definitely the top 3 questions I'm looking for is TAM, T-A-M, total addressable market. So if you're going after businesses trying to get to $1 million and help them do it profitably, you would have a chance to be able to scale your coaching business because that market is significantly bigger than going to businesses doing, $5, $10, $25 million. That said, if your goal is to be semi-retired, you just want to take on 10 clients, you could easily go after the bigger fish, but you don't want to pretend like you're going to be able to go to $10 million companies and then scale, right? Without redefining the game. And how do you get there? Like 2 rules of investing, Warren Buffett. Don't lose money, rule number 1. Rule number 2, see rule number 1. We've got 2 rules of business at focus.com. What are they? Rule number 1, you got to get clients. Rule number 2, you got to keep clients, right? Comes straight off of Warren Buffett's 2 rules. And then you say, okay, I want to coach a client and I want a framework. How do I do it? Rule number 1 is I got to establish a starting line. Rule number 2 is I got to establish the finishing line. And then guess what happens? The coaching is simply the line in between, right? So you're 35 and want to scale and work 18 hours a day. You're 55 and looking to slow down. You're 65 looking to slow down. Your finish line is going to be, wholly and completely different than the 35-year-old looking to jack things up. So that's how we'd create it. But again, with your clients, you want to create a starting line, a finishing line, and the coaching is just the line in between, right? Okay, so ideal client. Okay, I got to start with, it's always you, your ideal client, not your only client, but your ideal client is always you 5 years ago. Like, where did you work? What did you do? What do you know? What's your personality type, etc. Okay, well, just look at that 5 years ago, and that's going to be a great client. But maybe a better frame or a complementary frame might be the way to do it. But look, clients advertising. Drive down the road, and you're going to see businesses advertising on the highway. You listen to the radio, you're going to hear radio ads. You drive by the bus stop, you're going to see, ads on the bus stop, right? A bus parks beside you at the traffic lights. Guess what? There's going to be advertising on it. There's going to be signs in front of the houses as you drive along. Like the person's there landscaping, the person's there painting, the person's there putting on a roof, and there's a sign out the front, which, by the way, is a smart thing to do. Very seldom done. That's a mistake. Is that going to be amazing for lead generation? Not necessarily, but it brings in 1, 5, 10, 25 clients a year. What a great move, right? It's all about compounding. Small incremental changes in multiple areas get you that compounding financial return without the use of time, right? Your mailbox, people are advertising in your mailbox all the time. A business coach with a no junk mail sign is crazy. Businesses for sale, again, 80% of them, if not 95% of them, aren't going to sell. Do that. Businesses sponsoring locally, the golf club, the yacht club, the polo club, the baseball team, the baseball diamond, the hockey team, the ads on the boards at the hockey rink. Businesses awarded awards, nominated for local awards. Again, they're doing something right. And they had to fill in a bunch of paperwork in order to get nominated and to win those awards. That tells me this is somebody that's looking to grow and somebody willing to take a step backwards to take multiple forwards. This is an ideal client. And by the way, you can address that. You won the award, you were top 3, you were nominated, etc. Well, you were nominated. I want to help you get into the top 3. You're in the top 3. I want to make sure you win next year, right? Gives you affinity, gives you something to talk about. Kind of. Anyway, so that should be pretty obvious, I would imagine. Members of the chamber, members of BNI. Why do they join the chamber? Why do they buy the BNI membership? They're trying to get leads. They're trying to grow their business, and they're spending hard-earned money trying to make that happen. And by the way, people advertising, how does it generally work out? I think we can all agree, like it's poorly, and in many cases horrific. Why? They don't have an operating system to install. What they really need is an upsell, a downsell, a cross-sell, a proper upfront offer, control their expenses on the way up, raise their prices a couple times per year by a small percentage, etc. Need a joint venture, need additional products and services. They just need to follow the operating system, right? Like you get a $500,000 business with 50% gross profit margins, 10% net profit margin. Translation, they got $50,000 of earnings, $50,000 of profit. If they're living in California, they're on food stamps, right? Well, you increase the 12 areas by 2% and you got $75,000 of newfound profit. Not 75 instead of 50, 75 on top of the 50. And by the way, if you increase the 12 areas in the operating system by 5%, it's a $213,000 of newfound profit. Again, 213 on top of the 50. And then you go 10% in all 12 of the areas, it's over $500,000 of newfound profit. Somebody that was making $50,000 of earnings, $50,000 of profit a minute ago, you go and install that, you go and do that. You were the smartest decision they have made this year. Remember, you're charging $2,000 a month, 24 grand a year, $3,000 a month, 36 grand a year. This is money at a discount. The easiest thing in the world to sell is money at a discount. If I get a 20 and Road Dog's got a 10, I say, let's exchange. He's going to ask 3 questions. 1, is he full of crap? 2, he'd look for social proof. And 3, he'd say, can we do it again and again and again and again and again? Right? So that's why we built the Profit Acceleration Simulator and Profit Acceleration software as a framework to be able to frame you up as money to discount so that you can find your money before you get started. But anyway, so ideal client shoots. That'll give them some good ideas. But you 5 years ago is a really good frame. And then people spending money to try grow their business. And by the way, when they first join the chamber, that's a better prospect. When they first join BNI, that's a better prospect. When they first start their business, that's a better prospect than somebody that's already been at BNI for X amount of time or already been at the chamber for X amount of time. That's not to say they're still not an ideal client and a great person to go to, but I can tell you a new member is worth more than an old member. So anyway, Shoots, that's my answer. But what do you think?
Because why? Because they're not jaded yet? Is that what it is? They're still full of optimism and right?
Yeah. Hunter, because the reason that they pulled out their checkbook for the BNI membership and the reason that they pulled out the checkbook for the chamber membership and they pulled out their credit card for the ad is because they want, you know what I mean? Right now, in this moment, right here, they're like, I got to grow this business and I've got to do something new. Right.
No.
So,
well, and
so
again, there's a lot of naivety People are naive when they get into business. That's an easy word for me to say right there, Shoots. When they're building
Well,
their
that's
business. That's professional right there, Shoots. We've been at this long enough. Here's the issue though, right? So without frameworks, without systems, without processes, in other words, willy-nilly trying to figure it out on your own without a coach that can actually give you frameworks in your business, it is astounding to me how people think that what their business is worth, and yet they can never actually sell them. Can we address that for a minute?
Yeah. I could not agree with that more. I would like 80% are unexitable. Is that a word? Not exitable. If not 95. Look, there's 3 reasons why a business will not sell: not profitable, not systematized, too owner reliant. Um, when you value a company, there's five core components that go into it. So it's predictability, sustainability, growth opportunities, threats, and then scalability with a bit of an asterisk beside it, right? So as numbers go, like a $500,000, like as numbers go up, the valuation and the multiple goes up, right? So a $500,000 business versus a million versus 3 million, 3 million versus 10 million, et cetera. The multiple on earnings increases. And then you ask why, because it's at 10 million, it's significantly more sustainable, predictable, and the growth opportunities are significantly greater, as well as the threats are diminished. And by the way, if they manage to get to 5 million, get to 10 million, there's a possibility there to adjust things and potentially scale. So one of the examples of how you do that for the landscaper, butcher, baker, candlestick maker is the franchise as an example, right? So always remember, you want to build a business you could sell tomorrow, but don't want to. Important. That also falls under the Lindy effect. The longer something has been around, the longer it's likely to be around. So if you buy a business that's been around for 12 years, you got a significantly better chance of maintaining success than if you buy one that's killed it for 2 months, or sorry, for 2 years with incredible marketing, right? You generally speaking, you want to buy a business that's been around for 5 years because they bunny hop that danger zone of 5 years where most fail, right? But at the end of the day, Shoots, what's really important here, you want to build an exitable business. What should you do? You should install an operating system that combats all 3: profitable, systematized, and not owner reliant. And profit is the domino that knocks over all the other dominoes to get their ducks in a row and to get a exitable business in line. Install the operating system and watch what happens. And again, the ultimate goal, rather than exiting, which is very sexy, and I get it, but build a business they could sell tomorrow but don't want to. That's the higher level thought.
Well,
that's my answer, Shoots.
Speaking of operating systems, one of your operating systems is you read, right? To kind of further your knowledge, expand, blah, 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 blah. We were sort of briefly talking about it before the show. But why don't you share, like, kind of, I don't know, like what were we reading over the weekend and just maybe some general takeaways? Be my
Shoots.
Oh, Cole's notes with Carl. Here we go. This is new section, folks. It's happening. This just happened right now.
I get to open up my note sheets. That's what I'm going to do. So not the size of your brain, it's the size of your thinking, right? The guy falling asleep in math class is more likely to crush it in business than the guy who gets the best mark in the class. That said, I don't want to minimize the importance of intelligence and being smart and making smart decisions to build great things. It's just not school smart. So let's just call it the school of hard knock smart. But constantly reading, constantly learning. If you've listened to Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, any of the greats, they're all going to tell you that they're reading and learning all the time, despite the fact that they've already crushed it and they could absolutely put things on pause, right? And that it's not the size of your brain, it's the size of your thinking. Just Elon Musk's superpower is higher level thinking. He looks for big problems. He says, if you show me a big problem and I'll show you a big business I can build, right? 90% of businesses fall over. Well, we're solving a big problem at focus.com. How? We're building profitable businesses like we talked about a minute ago, like businesses that could exit, businesses that are wildly profitable, businesses that they could own. They could sell tomorrow, but don't want to, right? Here's another note, but the solution to a lot of problems is to just slow down. right? Translation, I think we could call that presence. Michael Jordan, his personal superpower was his presence. He was here, the now, the present, in the moment. And by the way, if you want to slow down time, and I would dare say, who doesn't? What do? You be present. And I'm with your family, with your kids, with your staff, with your clients, with your friends, with your business. It's like slow down to speed up, is what will happen. And concentrate on what you're doing, not what they're doing, right? Like when I say slow down, it's not to say you're not doing anything. What you're really doing is moving yourself towards higher level thought, right? Like winners concentrate on winning, losers concentrate on winners. Make sure that's not you, that's not your clients, right? Um, I will tell you this. So one thing, and I've kind of got this capitalized, but like it's billionaire advice for building a $1 billion company. Your customer must love your product and must use it. In a word, utility. If you coach your clients and they don't respond, they don't act, they don't do, you're not going to be building a 7-figure coaching practice. And you're not going to be able to get those $10,000 a month clients to stay with you, right? What does Steve Jobs say? If you want to build a great company, build a great product. Let's say that. You want to be a great business coach, get results for your clients at a ridiculous level. Remember, there's 3 levels of coaches as I see it. There's level 1, which is the hiders, hide behind the computer, stare at the phone and experience pain. And then the next level up, you've got the wingers. They wing the opening, wing the close, and then they wing it with their clients. Not a good thing. And then the highest level, and the ones that the wingers lose their clients and then they get adopted by other people, which are installers. You want to become an installer. If you want to be great at coaching, you want to have an operating system that you can install. Obviously, we have one. You've got to be following something. You got to be installing with your clients as opposed to just kind of winging it. It's like, the 80-20, like the difference between a 4-star service and a 5-star service. Let's say the chiropractor, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, the restaurant, the hotel, or more of the point, your product, your service, your client's product, your client's service. Mass says that like 4 to 5 is like a 20% difference, right? But it's monumentally different in business. Like some restaurants serve cold butter. That's hard, right? Some restaurants point you to the restroom. Other restaurants walk you there, right? They also walk you to the table rather than point, right? Like if you own a restaurant, you want to walk people to the restroom and walk people to the table. If you want to have those premium kind of high-end repeat customers, like how are you treating these folks? How accessible? How, you know what I mean? How, you know what I mean? It's just, it comes back to utility and comes to, trying to take your coaching as an example. In this example, from a 4-star event to a 5-star, but it's not 20%. It's significantly greater for those that experience it. And those are the guys that, by the way, stay around for years and years and years. Like we got one client, he's been with us for 18 years. We got tons of clients that have been with us well over a decade. And again, on a month-to-month agreement, they could leave any time with 30 days notice, right? Anyway, so 4 to 5, really what I'm trying to bring across, going from 4-star to 5-star is not a 20% bump. It's dramatically more than that. And everybody says that their product is amazing. This would be another thing. But when challenged, they aren't tracking one single metric around the product or client success. Like you want to build a great company, build a great product. That's Steve Jobs 101. The average like CPM, right? Like cost per 1,000 impressions, CPC, click-through rate, and all the marketing type stuff and numbers, right? That generally somebody else tracks for them. But when asked about net promoter score, churn rate, CHS, CRC, which is customer retention cost, et cetera, they've got no clue, right? Like they're kind of tracking the marketing numbers, but then not the client experience numbers. And I would encourage you to be helping your clients do that and be doing that yourself. So that's my answer, Shoots.
Okay, so can we dive into this a little bit more, because CHS, can we dive into that? Because I don't think probably many people know what it is, how it works, all that.
Good. Okay, good point. Okay, the customer health score, it's a measure of customer success. To get it, like you'd measure, if you were a personal trainer, how long does it take a new client to lose a single pound? If you're a business coach, how long until a client gets tangible return on investment from your relationship? If you worked with a small business owner, I'd start more tactical versus strategic more often than not. Why? I want to get runs on the board. I want to get runs on the board rather than start with strategic stuff that is often a step backwards to go forwards, right? Like um, I wouldn't start at strategy generally, despite the fact that strategy eats tactics for breakfast, right? What am I looking for? I'm looking for quick wins, which again, customer health score. And you go, okay, what's customer health score? Frequency, how much time are your users spending on your product, on your software, on your thing, your clients following through on your direction, breadth, how many users in a specific account are using the product? If you got a software play, depth, how many of your products or services key features are actually being used? Like time, like Facebook as an example, that would be like time on Facebook spent, right? Pretty obvious. And by the way, the number is embarrassingly high. But if you have a private school, how many kids in each class? When I owned a sports stadium, how many kids in each age group competing? How many people like using my skateboard park as an example during, busy and not so busy times. And another worthy product metric, and one I love is TTV. It measures how quickly your customers get value from your services and products, like time to value. The time is typically from the initial action by them. So the customer till the moment they gain value from you and your product, what I'm trying to say, right? For example, let's say a customer buys your software online and can immediately log in and use it, then how much time does it take to set it up, right? Try to minimize that to the highest level, and you're going to find you're going to get higher user engagement, right? Like we imagined our entire onboarding process for the answer to that question right there, right? Like, and by the way, I can comfortably say we have the best onboarding in the coaching business. Get told that all the time. And our software is designed so the client can win up front, right? We save them a fortune with their own book, their own CRM, their own website, their own profit acceleration simulator, their own group coaching programs, their own flash coaching program. Use the AI business coaching dojo so they can become a rock star at installing the operating system in record time, and they can practice it 24 hours a day, train, and study, by the way, do it over and over and over and over and over again until it becomes instinctual. Like they can just literally do that to their heart's content. Another thing, Shoots, I want to say, like a mistake people make is asking for a referral on like call 3. Why? Because they want to systematize it, which I totally get that. But the best time to do it is like the inflection point of success. Ask them for a referral then, right? So your client just realized they saved $5,000 in expenses, which is 60 grand a year. No doubt they're going to be over the moon, and it's going to be like one of those high 5, high 10 moments, right? Well, that's the time to ask for a referral versus a set sequence where you automatically ask on day 30, right? So when positive emotions are high, that's the time to ask for a referral. When your client is over the moon using it. But anyway, so customer health score, that's a good question, but just to measure a customer success. And again, with coaching, very, very relevant, right? If you're having your coaching calls and then your client isn't following through in the week in between, that's a bad thing. So anyway, Shoots, that's my answer, bud.
So at the time of recording of this, we are halfway through the year. There's going to be a lot of folks that are probably not on pace or on target from Jan 1. And a lot of that is, as you know, people think of what do I need to do? I need to find my motivation to hit my goals and to do all the things that I know that I want to do. So it's been a while, but let's dive into the 4 forces that motivate someone, because I actually think this is a perfect time of year to kind of reassess and reestablish that and go into the second half of the year strong. So would you mind just touching on that one again?
I love it. I remember we did this originally and you loved it. What was yours was freedom big time,
Freedom,
correct?
100%, all day long. All day long.
All right, cool. Okay, as a frame to motivate somebody, you need to know what motivates them. And what will motivate Road Dog, what will motivate me, what will motivate you, what will motivate your client will be different. So the big 4 forces, we'll call it money, status, freedom, relationships. Money, status, freedom, relationships. Most people, if I ask them, they think that a couple are tied, but I got to tell you, one will stand out. And how do you work out which one? It's the one that I took it away. It would make you mental. So do an exercise of subtraction versus addition if you want to work out what it is. And by the way, mastery might be a better name than status. Status sounds a little on the, I don't know, arrogant side, let's call it, but it's not that. Nothing wrong with wanting to be the best. Think of status as mastery. Like personally, I have an insatiable drive to be the best. I'm competitive default to a fault, right? Like when I was done playing hockey and I'm playing beer league hockey, look, I want to score the winning goal and I want to win, right? Tuesday at 11 o'clock at night, I don't care. When I coached my daughter's hockey team, I can comfortably say we were more prepared than the other teams. Like when we went into finals, I called every kid prior to the last two finals game to tell them their assignment and to get them ready to go, pump them up and say, are you ready? And kind of get them, kind of chomping on the bit to get going. And by the way, we won the league despite, I would dare say, comfortably having a lesser team on pure skill. And by the way, I'm not going to let it ruin my day if we lose, right? But I want to win, and that does put me in a better mood. It would be a 101. So don't compete against the competition. Compete against you yesterday might be a better, the right frame. Remember, if you improve 1% a day for 365 days, you get a 37x return. You're not the best coach. You're not the best salesperson. You're not the best networker. You're not the best at, phoning people and dropping 3 bombs, etc. Well, do it every single day and just work to get 1% better than you were yesterday, and you get a 37x. And if we 37x your current talents, I got to tell you, I don't need to know where you started, nor where you finished, frankly, but you're going to be like in the, the top 5% all day long. But you got to commit to mastery, right? 1% a day, every day. Like Gary Vee has a very different Northern Star than I have, right? Like I live on 2 acres in the water in the Caribbean, and I pretty much refuse to leave my house, right? He flies around the world and refuses to stop. And by the way, that's Tony Robbins as well. I think the bottom line, like this podcast, my pure and transparent goal and only goal is to provide value. And as a body of work, I think hundreds of thousands of downloads. I'm hoping I show you that, we're not trying to hold anything back. And that's certainly the goal. Or my daily emails. Look, they're exhausting. I get over 100,000 people to get my daily email. The feedback that I get is that they're very helpful and people look forward to them. And if we don't send it out by a particular time, I got to tell you, we're inundated with people saying, where's my email? Where's my email? Did I drop off the list, etc. And maybe the good news, like I write them and I don't use AI and all that. Obviously I could, but you know what? Why? I learn more than I would dare say everybody reading them combined. That's part of, mastery. It's part of my process, right? I think too many idiots out there pretending like they can teach a business coach, and they're all charging 10 grand up front, etc. That is a huge motivating factor for me, just to be clear. So I'm personally, I'm driven to be the best, and competitive types. And I would dare say if you're listening to us every week, you fall under that with a good percentage of time, like you're committed to mastery, right? So just commit to being better than yourself versus chase the competition. Work to be better than you were yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before, and just continue to get those small marginal wins every single day. And how do you do it? It's studying versus training. Studying is reading the book, doing the course, etc., which is great, and that has to be the starting point. But training is doing it over and over and over and over and over again until it becomes instinctual. Like my daily email, when I used to write that, oh my gosh, it took an enormous amount of time. Now I do it. Don't even know where I'm at, but whatever it is, 1,500 days or something. I do it significantly faster than I ever could. So make your goal to positively influence, not be known as an influencer, is what I would encourage you to do. How do you do that? You want to be Santa Claus, not the Grinch. Going in for the sale, a terrible reason to message me is because you need a client. I think we've all seen that. Go to your LinkedIn right now, and I guarantee you got all kinds of message. People think you got to build those relationships and leave breadcrumbs on a continual basis to bring it home, right? Start contacting people now to be able to close them in 30, 60, 90 days, to build that relationship, to get the JV, to get the referrals, etc. Again, be Santa Claus, not the Grinch. Give might be a What's the book by Gary V? Jab, 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 right hook, which I think is fabulous. Great book. And really what it is, like give, 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 and then ask for the order. Don't ask for the order too quick, right? So it's funner to give than to receive. Give and you'll feel and experience the rule of reciprocity. That's why live events work so well. It's 3 words, rule of reciprocity. Wow, if he's willing to do this, feed me breakfast, put on a show, introduce me to other business owners, and create this environment, no charge. Imagine once I paid him, once I paid her, what would happen, right? So I would encourage you to exercise it. Give, 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 or left jab, left jab, left jab before the right hook. And I think that you will accomplish your goal of where we started: freedom, status, money, and relationships that you crave. But I think that's an excellent question, Shoots. And I think it's really, what did I say at the beginning here? You need to know what motivates somebody in order to motivate them. There's a good chance that they're motivated by something different than you. Work out what that is.
Karl, I just want to add in, when we say, people are motivated by money and status, I can already sense the amount of judgment by some of our listeners on that. Yeah. But it is not for you to judge what motivates another person. Perhaps then, going back to ideal client, maybe that's not an ideal client for you, right? Maybe your ideal client is somebody else, like for myself, that's looking for that freedom. And money is just a tool to allow you to have said freedom.
And again, you get there how? Like small incremental improvements on an ongoing basis. Like, what does Warren Buffett say? You can't get 9 women pregnant to get a kid in 1 month. Right. So you gotta wait the 9 months. Unfortunately, you can't cook that sucker quickly. Don't happen.
Okay. I don't know how I'm going to pivot off of that one to Zen, but here we are. This is the world that we live in right now. By the way, folks, I want your feedback. I want your comments. Cole's Notes with Karl. Like, let's go. The new segment has arrived. You know what? When I woke up this morning, I didn't realize that this was going to happen today, but sometimes God delivers in the least expected time. So here we go. Cole's Notes with Karl. It's happening. We're going to be segment by segment on every show here within the next 5 years.
Pressure. Shapes pressure.
All right. Close it out, my friend. Give us the moment of Zen.
I want to just compliment what I said a minute ago. Like, life's greatest rewards go to those that can delay gratification. And I would follow it up with long enough for compounding to take effect and to do its quiet, inevitable work. Everyone wants exponential results, but no one wants to live through the slow, linear years it takes to get there, or the effort that it takes to get there. The modern world is designed to destroy patience. Every screen, every app, every notification is a test you and your coaching client is potentially failing. And it's only getting worse with AI. You can get coaching clients quicker than ever, thanks to AI. Yes, it creates some new challenges, let's just call it. But AI is one of your greatest friends as a business coach, because trust me, they are more confused than ever, because everyone is trying to monetize your attention. Everybody is trying to monetize their attention. Attention is where patience lives. If I was starting again, I would guard my attention like pure gold. I'd turn off the noise, my phone, the apps, and make boredom my friend. I would make boredom my ally. Think of it this way. Boredom is where clarity, I don't want to say lives, it's where it grows, right? Kids, and by the way, kids are never bored today. They get bored, and what do? They pick up a screen. Adults aren't much different, and I fall into that category. I do my best, but the truth is, I'm staring at that phone more than I want to. What am I doing? What are people doing? Most people fill every empty moment with stimulation. That's what Facebook is. That's what YouTube is, etc. Right? And I would encourage you to do kind of what I did on the weekend, which brings this thought. I would encourage you to fill it with thought. Right? Patience isn't just about waiting. It's about what you do while you wait. Like, patience isn't passive, but it's maybe debatably, but I'm going to say the most active discipline there is, right? Not staring at that damn screen, planning, reading, preparing, listening, while others, what are they doing? They're busy reacting. Like, patience without work is just laziness. Work without patience is just chaos. And what do you need? You need both work and patience. Smart work, let's call it. When I invest my time, I'm not betting on today's excitement. I'm betting on tomorrow's inevitability. Businesses want to grow profitably. It's a 101. I'd find something that feeds over time and keep feeding it quietly and consistently. Think 1% a day, every day, get you that 37x. And compounding isn't just for money. All right. It works in behavior. It works in your behavior. It works in your client's behavior. Every rational decision you make and every temptation you resist, every time you think instead of react, those decisions compound. They build character, and character attracts trust, and trust attracts opportunity. And for us listening, your next group of high-end clients, you can't buy that process. You have to live it. Like the world rewards those that can handle monotony in pursuit of mastery, in pursuit of what I was talking about a second ago. That's the law of nature, and nature doesn't care about your goals. It rewards you for your action. Again, studying versus training. It doesn't reward you for your studying. It rewards you for your training, doing it over and over and over again. So what do you got to do? You got to show up versus show off, where so many people are doing that on Facebook, etc. Like avoid the distraction, the posting, the flexing, the signaling. Frankly, it's exhausting for me to watch. And again, I'm participating in it at a higher level than I want to. Like, let others chase applause and likes while you chase outcomes. The loudest person in the room is rarely the one with the real power. Quiet progress doesn't trend, but it lasts. I don't build things that go viral. I build software and an operating system that works and proven to work. It's built on math. It's inevitable. Compounding doesn't reward the sprinter, it rewards the survivor, the marathon versus the sprint, right? Those with no to less movement. And just think Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger 101. What do? They invest in companies and then they never sell. And patience filters the competition because why? Most quit. What do? They change careers every 3 to 5 years, which means you win just by staying in the game. I've been in business coaching for 22 years, right? So, said differently, I always say like a coach going week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year, decide if they're going to keep going is already lost, right? You got to be the person that goes all in and says, this is my destiny. This is what I'm designed to do. And just make the calls. Three conversations a day can solve all of your lead generation problems in a meaningful way, dropping bombs and building up authority. And you don't have to be the smartest or the fastest, just the one that doesn't give up when boring kind of sets in and it feels monotonous. In a noisy world, consistency looks like genius. That was Adrian Olsch, my business partner, who passed away. Great man, but he was consistency on steroids. Like, use boredom as a moat, I think is what I'm trying to say. When others lose focus, you should be doubling down. And that's how you separate signal from the noise. If you've ever heard, who is it, Mr. Wonderful talks about working with Steve Jobs back in the day, and then Elon Musk. He says that Elon Musk separates signal from noise better than anybody he's ever met. And by the way, I would dare say patience also keeps you rational. And I would say to become, the killer business coach, the top 1%, which is absolutely in you. If you decide to study versus train and do it over and over and over again until it becomes instinctual, you can absolutely become the 1%. And the slower you think, the few dumb mistakes you'll likely make, like riding a tricycle versus an F1 race car. A crash is costly when going too fast without strategy. That's your client 101. And by the way, I've made errors. To know the haste and anger is expensive, right? Be a little bit cautious. Look, the thinking is the solution. Like when you act fast without thinking, you pay tuition to the school of stupidity. They're what my mentor would call the stupid tax. Just business, from my experience and my observation, and I got lots of it, it punishes impatience and rewards consistency and discipline is what I'm really trying to say. Like in investing, every generation thinks it's immune to the lesson that every generation learns, and they can get there the hard way. And they find out the hard way. Like if I started at zero, I'd let others collect the quick wins, and I would quietly collect the long-term ones. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, 101. There's peace that comes with patience, by the way. You stop fearing outcomes and you stop needing to force results. So that's what I want to say, Shoots. Kind of again, just patience. You can't get, Charlie Munger said it, or sorry, it was Warren Buffett who said it so well. Like you can't get a woman, you can't have a baby by getting 9 women pregnant in the same month, right? The same way that you can't, water your plant, 5 times a day and have it grow significantly faster, right? What ends up happening, you end up killing the plant, by the way. And that's the F1 car versus the tricycle, what I'm trying to get across there. Take a step back to take many forwards. Patience doesn't mean not doing anything. Patience is, moving ahead with smart. So an example of that, Shoots, would be before I go and make my 100 cold calls, I would research the first 10. And then when I speak to them, if I speak to them, I've got some tangible things that I can reference, their LinkedIn, their website, the ad. And then, by the way that you could improve their LinkedIn, you could improve their website and improve their ad. How much more motivated would you be to call that individual? How much more confident and how much more conviction would you have when you're speaking to that individual, when you get a really good sense as to how you could easily help them? Or maybe the homework that I've given to coaches for years and years and years, they're looking to get more clients. What I say is, okay, pick a niche. They say restaurant. I say, okay, right. I want you to come up with 50 ways that you are going to help a restaurant. Okay. And of course, we built an AI business coaching dojo to do all the heavy lifting. But at the end of the day, how much more motivated are you going to be to speak to the restaurant or to ask the banker for a restaurant referral, to ask the accountant for a restaurant referral when you've already done that homework up front? You'll be dangerously more prepared. That's an example of patience in action with smart work. Anyway, Shits, that's my answer. That's my Zen moment. I don't know how I did.
Well, dude, I can tell you honestly, earlier that, again, the 4, what do we call them? Forces of motivation or whatever, like that to me is such gold as it was the first time. But this time I'm taking it from a prospecting perspective. So I want everybody to just maybe it'll hit you like it hit me, of go and find those people and that are motivated the same way that you are, because guess what? The connection, the way that you can resonate, it's magic. It is absolute magic. So, all right, folks.
The reason, Shoots, can I speak to that for 1 sec? The reason why is because the ball's rolling. When a ball rolls in the street, what is coming not far behind? And it rhymes with a kid, right? What do you do when you got experience driving? You slow the heck down, right? So when you've got the experience that your client is walking towards, you're going to be able to identify those balls rolling in the street at a crazy level.
So, and I'm just going to end with, it rhymes with a kid. So next episode, we're going to teach Karl what rhyming actually is. I think that's going to be a life-changing episode for everyone included. So there you go, folks. All right. Well, thanks for hanging with us for another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. Here's the deal. If you want more of this every single day, Karl was talking about it earlier. He sends out daily emails packed with coaching strategies, client wins, whatever, all the stuff that's actually moving the needle right now. So head over to focus.com and get on the inside. It is where the real magic happens. And hey, if this episode helped you, do us a solid. Share with another coach who needs to hear it. Leave us a review if you're feeling generous, because we're on a mission to impact as many coaches as possible. And you sharing this is how that happens. That is it for another episode, Shoots. We will see you in the next one. And remember, everybody, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.